So Shadow Lord Iskar is a fun encounter. Think of it as hot potato. There is one main ability, or one main item in the raid. For those of you that did Lady Vash, same kind of thing. You throw it to other people in order to succeed. The trash here is great because there's 3 little mini-bosses, and they will do exactly what the boss does throughout the entire fight. The boss's abilities here, let's go through Shadow Lord Iskar. So the main thing is this Eye of Anzu. The Eye of Anzu is what makes or breaks the fight. One person holds it at one time, and they pass it to other people. Depending on who's holding it, they can do different things, sort of. But the longer you hold the Eye of Anzu, you get something called the Radiance of Anzu, and it does stacking damage to you. If you throw it to somebody else, it doesn't go away, but it goes down slowly, the amount of stacks. I found in my PTR testing that 6 stacks was roughly the most you want to hold it. Then you would pass it to somebody else that knows what they're doing. What? Oh. Uncontrolled Radiance. If you don't use the eye, your entire raid blows up, basically. Like, it's very deadly. Now, Shadow Lord Iskar has a number of abilities. The first one, easy to deal with, is Fel Chakram. He targets 3 people with a Chakram, and for those of you that watched the Fat Boss video, they used something like this. 1, 2, 3. Right? They used 3 points like this for where to drop the Chakram, and the raid was in the middle. That's fine. It's probably not the most efficient way to do things, but that's fine if you want to do it that way, where the tank runs this way, the melee runs this way, and another person runs this way. Because the Chakram, for those of you that watch Xena Warrior Princess, it's a little circular thing. It spins and bounces between people. Same kind of thing here. It's 3 people and goes back to the boss. A better way to do it may be something like this, where the tank runs to the purple marker, melee runs to the blue marker, boss is tanked by red here, and the ranged person runs this way. That way, the chakram bounces between purple to green to blue to boss, or blue to purple to green to boss here, and your entire raid, which is at yellow, does not get hit. The further the people are between chakrams, the less damage it does, and it does do splash damage as well, which is why it's important to stay spread out. Otherwise, you'll be able to just run out over here to these 3 people and make a little line or something, or a little triangle, but it would do way more damage that way. So, you want to maximize the range between chakram bounces. You have a chakram over your head, you'll have a big hunter target macro thing over your head, and just make sure to run out. It's very easy to see. Next ability here is Fel Incineration. This ability sucks because it wasn't working that well on PTR. It was sort of picking a person, then zigzagging, then running towards you. It was really annoying. Fel Incineration targets 1 person in the raid. Think of it as Siegecrafter lasers. For those of you remember Siegecrafter Black Fuse in Siege of Orgrimmar? Same kind of laser, but it is a green one this time. It's a green laser on the ground. You spawn fire wherever you run, or you control where it goes to. Try to run these green lasers off to the side here. If the raid is at yellow, try to run them off to the back here, out of the way, or off to the right side where you will not be using. If you use the left side of the room, try to drag them over here. That being said, though, let's say I'm standing over here by yellow. The laser would sometimes spawn over here by purple, or over here by purple, and it would cut through the raid, even if I'm supposed to cut it this way. So it was quite annoying to deal with. It doesn't always spawn in the same spot every single time. Phantasmal Wounds, really easy ability. You can throw the Eye of Anzu to somebody, but think of it as a bleed debuff that doesn't go away until you heal them above 90%. It's really easy to deal with on normal and heroic, not a big issue. Alternatively, you can throw the Eye of Anzu to remove it. Now, the Eye of Anzu, it has to be thrown to different people in order to remove their debuffs. Phantasmal Wounds is one. Phantasmal Winds is the other. Phantasmal Winds, if you guys remember something on Lei Shen, it starts running you off to the cliff. It starts pushing, pushing, pushing. It doesn't go away. I mean, you can use a speed of light to counteract or use your speed burst, but it will push you off this cliff. It absolutely will, unless somebody throws the Eye of Anzu to you. So, you throw it to one person that has it, throw it to another person with winds to stop them from getting pushed off. That's why it's hot potato. You have it, throw it to the next person. There is no reason for any of you healers, DPSers, whatever, to have the Eye of Anzu for very long, unless you have a specific role, which is either Dispel or Interrupt. Now, the other ability is Focus Blast. Really easy. If, let's say, the boss is, and this is, again, during his one of his air phases, or his whatever phase, if the boss is over here by red, and I have Anzu over here, it does close to 800,000, a million damage, whatever, to me, but it's split between everybody that's standing in it. Think of it as a penetrating shot, and the penetrating shot is whoever has Eye of Anzu. So that person is behind the entire raid. So if Eye of Anzu is on the tank, probably not a good person for it to be on during the focused blast. Again, split damage based off who is in front of that focused blast. What else? Fel Shock and Plasma Winds, Fel Incineration. Yeah, and then, so he has multiple phases here. There's a ground phase and an air phase. The ground phase is really simple, you'll see what I mean. And then during the air phases, he'll spawn adds and spawn a different mini-boss every single time. This one, where is it? Cause them to explode. Yeah, okay. No, not Fel Raven, it's this one. No, what am I thinking here? Shadow Warden. It's the bomb dude. Which one's the bomb dude? The Outcast. I guess it's sort of broken here. Basically, there are bombs that spawn as well. The bombs will blow up on the raid after about 5 seconds. About 5 people get hit by the bomb, and one person has a phantasmal bomb. If you dispel that one person, the other ones just go away. They don't blow up, they just go away. So, the only one person that can dispel is the person with the Eye of Anzu. So during this phase, you must have it at the right person. Have it at your healer. The healer is like has to quickly look, okay, who has Phantasmal Bomb? I dispel them. Don't dispel the other people. Otherwise, your raid will blow up. For this fight, it is really, really awesome if you guys all get an add-on called Shadow Lord Iskar Assist. There is a... Can you fade the blast? I don't think it's... I mean, you could probably use mitigation abilities here, but I'm pretty sure it's not a droppable debuff, sort of like Penetrating Shot, where you could feign Death or Spectral Geyser and Visit. Fellbomb, thank you. That's what it is, Fellbomb. Sounds like 3 has its own. So that add-on is fantastic because it'll let you throw things really easily. Now the bomb is or the Eye of Anzu is an extra action button. It's not like an inventory button like the Lady Vash green thing that you were throwing around. This is an extra action button. With that add-on, it makes it a lot easier. You just click that person. It's an additional raid frame. Exorcist raid tools, for those of you that use, I don't have it enabled right now, has a very similar thing. But Shadow Lord Iskar Assist makes it a ton easier. Yeah, this is the real Pug wiper. You'll see. But I'm going to go through the fight here. Give me a sec to load it up. How long was it? 47. Okay. Not 3 as a give me 1 sec. So we'll go through Shadow Lord Iskar really quickly here, and I'll show you step by step what all the abilities are doing.
So I'm not going to ask.
And that was Mark's asking me again how to move the window. Okay, so on the right side of my screen there, you see the Iskar Assist. If I left click somebody, you throw it to them. That's all I have to do. You don't have to click your extra action button, then target somebody, and then throw it. That's really inefficient, right? Like, clicking is really inefficient as a raider. You left click the person on the Iskar Assist, it throws the Eye of Anzu. If you right click the person, it dispels the person. So if you're a healer and you see Phantasmal or Fel Bomb is on that person, right click. So we'll see how this encounter works. I'll go step by step here. Give me a sec here. Any other questions? Hopefully we're pulling soon. Okay, this was our first attempt as a raid on the boss. Try to fast forward a little bit more. Okay, so here we are. We've pulled the boss. This is a fine distance to be. You'll see Phantasmal Winds. You'll see all the abilities. So the Fel Chakram is on Psycho. So it hits a tank, it hits a melee, and hits a ranged or healer. You'll see exactly where they're running for Fel Chakram. Roshi ran left there. Looks like Psycho ran right, and Kinsata ran the other way. So we got lucky there that didn't pass through the raid. It could have passed from one person to another, but Psycho should have gone to the left side there. Here's Phantasmal Winds. These winds are now pushing the people off the platform. At the same time, you're dealing with Fel Incineration. People are getting pushed off the platform. And on the right side of my screen there, you see Blastoise. He has the Phantasmal Winds. So if you have Eye of Anzu, so right now Fibberlo has Eye of Anzu. He's selected by yellow. You throw it to Blastoise. Blastoise, hot potatoes to next person, next person, next person, next person. You're constantly throwing this thing around. So you have to be aware of what's going on while doing your DPS rotation, while doing your healing rotation, while dodging fires, while dealing with chakrams. It's a lot to take into. Quite a bit of a learning curve on this fight, but it is a lot of fun. So Phantasmal Wounds on me. Heal yourself up, it's fine. I'm normal and heroic, not a huge deal to deal with. Fel Chakrams on Driaz, Brew, and Deadman. Okay, this is a better sort of... That one passed through the raid a bit. Again, try to use the left side section that I showed you guys earlier. There's Fel Incineration. So again, it spawns in front of the raid or off to the side somewhere in it. And Brand is running it correctly here off to the side, but it's just a really shitty spawn point for it. and does do quite a bit of fire damage, especially on normal. Phantasmal Wounds here, or wins
Phantasmal Wounds next.
Okay, so now, every 70%, 40%, and I think 10%, was it 70, 40, and 10 or something like that, the boss goes into his air phase. These are the little ads that spawn. This phase, you can't DPS the boss, you deal with the ads and the big special ad that has spawned. So the outcasts have spawned, they're just little trash things. Here comes the Focused Blast. So, Branhista is one of our main carriers for the Eye of Anzu because she can interrupt and dispel, and that's really key. Some of the best people to hold the Eye of Anzu are Shaman healers. They're the best ones because they can both dispel and interrupt. I'll show you why in a second. So she has the Eye of Anzu. You can see her. You can see the little thing over her head next to the play button right there. It's a little eye, has little things around it, and everybody should be getting hit by the Focus Blast. You'll see it here in a second. Focus Blast.
In the line here, yeah. Focus Blast.
There. It's a big beam. Does lots of damage for people getting hit. Right after, there is the bomb ability. So the bombs, look, on the right side of the screen there, you see Blastoise, Branhista, Driaz, Roshi, and Towley all have a bomb on them. But Blastoise is a Fel Bomb. Fel Bomb is the one that has to be dispelled. The other bombs do not. So DBM, great. I mean, it sort of shows you here in the middle of the screen, you see Fel Bomb on Blastoise. Blastoise also says it above his screen. This add-on also shows you who has it. Dispel that person. In addition, you can have it in your raid frames, put it in as a debuff, and you dispel that person, the other ones will go away. Let's see what happens here.
Good, very good. Bombs
3,
out,
2,
bombs
1.
out.
Oh, and Bran forgot to dispel.
Bran.
I mean, it's a bit of a learning curve. It's like, holy crap, so many things going off at once. If your person misses the dispel, your raid will wipe. Alternatively, you could have a ranged spread strat. It might be a little bit more difficult in terms of positioning the chakrams. It's a risk-reward. Like, if your person screws up with bombs, and they shouldn't, it's one person dispel, you have like 3 seconds. It might be a little bit too quick on normal, because again, it is friends and family difficulty, but you will wipe. Let me go another attempt a little bit further. Another wipe there. Same thing. We had a couple of wipes where the person was not able to dispel. Okay, this might be one of our better ones. We go a couple seconds in. There's Phantasmal Wounds. Yeah.
Fire, careful.
Now the add-on is a little bit buggy, but for the most part it works pretty well. There's Fel Incineration on me. Then I'm going to try to recollapse with my group. The fire does a lot of damage. Try to go around from it. Fel Chakrams on me. You see how we go to the same side?
See, that
That makes it a lot easier.
That was good, the 3 of us.
1, 2, 3. That's one of the easiest ways to deal with Fel Chakram. But hopefully Phantasmal Wounds and Winds show up on me, so I can show you guys exactly what it looks like.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Just communicate it.
Okay, there's Fel Incineration again. Now I have the Eye of Anzu on me. I have a weak aura later on that shows me that Eye of Anzu's on me. On the right side of my screen, you can see I have 2 stacks of the debuff. My raid frames are now showing how many stacks I have, or how many stacks somebody has, and how easy or how much damage you're taking. We did this as viewers as well the other night, like last night, and I mean we did a great job. Okay, debuffs are tracking there. You throw it hot potato. Prime Time has it. You should be throwing the Test Summoner, because look, Test Summoner is getting thrown off to the left side there. Throws it to him, and then his debuff's gone. And Test Summoner did a great job throwing it back to Bran. Idealize has the debuff there.
If you ever need to rest it.
Okay, and here we go. This is the second phase. Now again, so there's bombs. So why is a shaman good? Because they can dispel the bomb. They can also do an interrupt. Now the which one is it? Sorry, I get confused here. The ads on Shadow Lord Iskar. Let me go back here, back to abilities. Obliteration. Yeah. So the Corrupted Priest was the one that throwing the bombs. The Shadowfell Warden does a Fel Conduit. It is Chain Lightning on your raid. It is a channeled spell. If it starts casting, interrupt it right away. So that's why a Shaman is really good. That being said, the abilities constantly alternate. If you did an interrupt, it'll be Dispel next, then interrupt again, and back and forth. You also don't want to keep the Eye of Anzu on one person, because it is, again, is a stacking debuff. Let's go back here for a second. So right now it's on Bren. She interrupted it. You saw that little interrupt macro over her head. Now here comes the bombs, as well as a focused blast. She has to dispel Dead Man. Let's see if she does.
Brand dead man. Brand dead man.
There, she dispelled them last second. And all bombs go away if you dispel them in time. Focus Blast number 2, who should be stacked in. Now, if your debuff gets too high and Brand's is really high because she's taking a shit ton of damage, throw it to somebody else. Have multiple designated people to control that football or control the hot potato on.
The weirdest sound.
So if one person's debuff gets too high, throw it to another person. In my testing with viewers, we found, like, I think it would be easier to have just keep it on the tank for the most part. So there's yeah, the Warden still is going to dispel. Yeah, he has Fel Conduit in a couple seconds, but I think he's going to die. Yeah.
Back to you, Brand.
And then you go back to the ground phase.
Oh, no, I can't take again. Prime
And we readjust ourselves here. Phantasmal wins. People getting slowly thrown off. And now they're doing a hot potato, doing a lot better at it. You see the debuff getting thrown off.
No, I didn't see
Photon. Photon has it. You should throw it to Prime Time. Or Blastoise. Throw it to the wrong person. Now, the thing about this add-on is, for those of you that have really terrible hand-eye coordination, the frames are pretty small. They're fairly difficult to click, I guess, if you're blind, Mr. Magoo's. The author of the add-on will make it a lot easier. He'll increase the rates or the size of each bar to make it easier for you guys to click on people. Or different sword features as well.
Click, click.
Lord, she has to throw it to somebody. Okay, threw it to Prime Time. Prime Time now lost debuff. He was pretty close to the edge there on the right side. Chakrams come out.
Hold on to it for a few seconds, please. Wrap it out.
Fell Incineration on me. You see how what I meant there about the Fell Incineration? I didn't do a great job of cutting the laser off, but you know, again, it spawns in a random spot, and now my group is cut into 2. Let's go a little bit further here. Same thing going on. Again, bomb phase. Those bombs, I believe, did blow up. And now we have the same thing here. So now, in addition to the other ones, we have the Warden, which is doing Fel Conduit right now. For those of you that can see, he has a green shield around him. He has a cast bar of Fel Conduit, which is doing a ton of raid damage. The Talon Priest is still up there. He's throwing up bombs. And we have a Fel Raven as well, which is doing massive damage to the tanks. What is the priority here? Well, deal with the ones, the Chain Lightning guy. He's the one that will more likely wipe your raid. Again, it does a ton of damage. This is the point, this phase, where you have all 3 adds up, this is the point where you want to Heroism. Not later on or not early into the fight. There's no advantage of using Heroism at the start to burn him down to 70% into his first air phase. There is 0 point. This is where you save Heroism, to burn down the correct adds. You can see the adds on the right side. The Corrupting Talon Priest is about to die. Yeah, here we start wiping as well. No, I think I called for a wipe here, because we wanted some more attempts in. But later on, there we go, okay, perfect. That is what Phantasmal Winds looks like. So let me go back a couple seconds. Okay. Alright, so here I have the Eye of Anzu. For those of you watching, it's in the middle of my screen. Debuffs are stacking. Mine's at 6 stacks right now. It's a lot of damage. It's roughly 60,000 damage every second. And once I dispel a Potatosaurus, so I right-clicked him. At the same time, I had a green thing over Potatosaurus, for those of you that saw that, of dispelling him. And I did a shitty job interrupting. There, I threw it to Bran. She's got a debuff on her screen. This is Phantasmal Winds. Look how slowly it pushes me, but it gets faster and faster and faster. So you have to throw it to a person that has it. It's pushing me off. I'm running against it right now. Yeah, throw it to me. I throw it to the next person, and I'm going to hold it.
Right, which is why you should be practicing it and not ignoring it on normal. Sham, you have it.
So here we are. The chakrams come out again.
Sparty.
Okay, so I'm holding the eye right now, building up stacks. Now, I mean, paladins are really good at holding the eye, as well as the other tank. The other tank right now, let's say Deadman's main tanking, don't throw the eye to him. Throw it to the off tank. The off tank can be using it for the Fel Raven's mitigation ability. He can be using it as an interrupt. So if you ever need to have an interrupt coming up, throw it to a tank. Totally fine, because nobody else is taking damage. Plus, you'll likely have a paladin in your raid having multiple beacons on both tanks. It makes it a lot easier that way. Paladins are great because they can Eternal Flame themselves, Divine Protection, Bubble, whatever. Throw it to a tank. I think keeping it on a tank is a lot better than keeping it on a healer for the most part, but Shamans are really good because they can go back and forth. So I have the Eye of Anzu. I'm at 5 stacks right now. I'll be throwing it to Branhista soon. There, I left-click Branhista. Phantasmal Winds.
Let's get a bit of reset period there. Phantasmal Winds. Urge, you have it. It's back to Bren. Spell Incineration, be ready.
And does have a berserk as well, so you can't just stack healers. There's Fel Incineration. Next ad phase. So again, the Fel Warden does the Fel Conduit, which is the Chain Lightning. The other dude, what's his name? The Talon Priest. He's the one that throws out the bombs. So you can see on the right side of my raid frames, you see Talon Priest. That's the target right now. Bombs coming out.
Yes.
Brandon has to spell the right target. She does really easily, because now she's got a hang of it. So this is one of those fights that will take a few times. You will wipe. Expect your normal and heroic guild and even mythic guild to wipe on this fight until the person that deals with orbs gets a hang of it. I mean, it takes quick reaction times to dispel that person, and your raiders will have to learn. Quick hot potato. But this add-on is fantastic. I highly encourage you guys to get this add-on. Iskar Assist. It is awesome. I'm telling you guys.
Back to Moran in a sec.
There's the interrupt.
There. So it's on me.
I can get it.
Just left.
So it's on me right now. I have to interrupt or throw it to a person. Does a paladin have a range interrupt? No. So what should I do? Either I run myself up there and dispel, or throw it.
No, I was too slow. Turn back to
You have-
Moran.
It's still on me. Like, it's still a
Oh,
channel.
I just have to run up there and dispel it. No, my bad.
Yeah, so I should have ran up there and dispelled it. We took a lot of raid damage because I was really slow to dispel. Run up there and kick it.
Yeah, that was my
And that is the final burn of the boss. I guess the later phase. Fel Raven's not a huge issue to deal with. When your tanks ask for it to be thrown, make sure you throw it to your tank as well. The Fel Raven, his Phantasmal Corruption, it does a lot of damage to the tank and increased fire damage as well. So the person with the Fel Raven would run off to the side because it does a lot of damage to the people nearby, and then make them immune to the fire damage. Makes it a lot easier that way. But the fight is pretty fun. It's just hot potato. Your raiders are going to have to learn to throw that thing around. It will be a big wiper. I don't think they've tested this on LFR yet. I can't recall. But there will be a lot of trolls dispelling the wrong bombs, or people, not doing their Eye of Anzu. I'm not sure how they're going to correct this on LFR, with the amount of, really shitty keyboard warriors out there on the internet, finding a lot of pleasure in wiping raids. So, what else here? Does the screen change color when you're holding the eye? I can't recall. You have to go back to the video for a bit there. So much talking, fine mechanics. What a nerd. Shut up, Cylon. Can you grip Phantasmal Winds or use a Warlock Gateway? Potentially. You can use Speed Burst. I don't see why you wouldn't be able to use Warlock Gateways like you could on Lei Shen or Life Grips. That being said, though, on higher difficulties, it will go faster and faster and faster. Phantasmal Winds should be even quicker on Mythic. I didn't do Mythic testing. I think there are Mythic videos out there, but you'll see. Good question, though. Good question. The room does change for the person holding the eye. Yeah, I think it does. I think that's what people mentioned earlier. If I go back to my video here, one sec, let me pull it up. Well, you have to search through it, but yeah, I'm pretty sure it does change the overall color, or like the outside of your screen does change. That being said, I have a giant weak aura in the middle of my screen here that says, hey, you have the eye, pass it. One sec. Excuse me. Which weak auras is this here? There. This is my weak aura. That one my raiders made. You have the eye, pass it. I'm going to make it go like ding, 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 go pass it to somebody else, because again, audible warnings are much better. All these weak auras and more I'll share with you guys. I have a lot of weak auras for, let's say, Sokrathar here, for example. Sokrathar's, Tyrant Valari's weak auras. What else do I have here? Or the other ones? I had more. Sokrathar. Knockup. I think that's it. I know I have the other ones saved here somewhere. But these are the main ones for the next two bosses that I'm going to show you guys. All the weak auras are there. Any other questions? No, let me know if you have any more questions for that boss, Shadow Lord Iskar. Fun boss, hot potato. It might get annoying, but it is really reliant on one person or having a really smart person do deal with the Eye of Anzu. But everybody should know how it works. So if I ask one of you guys, how do you interrupt the Fel Conduit? Well, it has to be on the person with that has the Eye of Anzu. Only they can interrupt. How do you dispel the Fel Bombs? Well, you can either run them out, and everybody spreads out and does minimal damage, or the one person with Eye of Anzu, they dispel it. You have a ton of weak auras, I know. So let me load up next boss, which is Sokrathar the Internal. Now, this boss, I sort of adjusted our strat to make it really, really easy, and I'll show you guys exactly our strat. Give me a sec here. I'm going to go say hi to my fiancée, Driez, and then I will continue with this next boss. But Sokrathar is a pretty fun boss in general. Really fun for the tanks. So I know tanks get really bored, like, hey, we gotta do another tank switch. Oh, how much fun that is. Do we switch at 2 stacks or 3 stacks? Oh, look, we have to run around because it's a Mark of Chaos. Yeah, this boss tanks will love because you jump into a big Rock'em Sock'em robot like Gundam or whatever Transformers kids do these days. It is really fun, and a good tank will, make or break this fight as well. It is a two-phase fight, but I'll explain in a sec here. I'm gonna go say hi to Driaz. Give me 1 sec, guys. I'll be right back, and yeah, give me 1 sec. Alright, guys. So, Sokrathar the Eternal. You guys remember Sokrathar the Eternal from your Walder's Draenor questing experience? Yes, he's around still. He's in this really awesome robot-looking place. He is a two-phase encounter. The first phase, you are DPSing him. He's in the robot suit. You need to bust out the robot suit for him to run out of it. It's a really simple fight in phase 1. Basically, what his main abilities for Sokrathar, where are they? Here. The first one is Reverberating Blow. Now, treat this ability like Inferno Slice. It applies 3 stacks of Shattered Defenses divided among people between its closest targets. So, if the boss is tanked right here in the middle, you can have 3 Infernal Slice groups, or Reverberating Blow groups. 1, 2, 3. Like this. It is a conal effect, like a frontal attack like this, and I'm sure you guys, are tired of me talking about frontal attacks. Be close enough. It does, it does a little bit of damage here on normal. It doesn't do a ton. 230,000 between shields and personal, you'll be totally fine. It is physical damage. Now, what you want to do here is you have 1 tank with 2 people split this ability. That's all you need. On normal and heroic, you only need 3 people per Reverberating Blows. So you need 3 groups like this. 1 tank, 2 people take a stack. Then you can have the next tank take a stack here. Or you could have the same tank take next one, and 2 people get hit here, and then another 2 people will get hit here with the same tank. Then you could alternate it. The next tank takes 3 stacks, or takes 1 Reverting Blow here, next one here, next one here. Really simple to easy ability to deal with. The rest of your raid will be over here on the yellow side, right around here. So you can have your melee do this. It makes it really easy because the boss is being turned around. Super, super easy. This fight sucks as much with a small group? It does. This is one of those fights where if you have a 10-man or a 12-man, you're going to have a lot more difficulty compared to a 30-man group or 25-man group. Melee, again, it's a super melee-friendly encounter for the most part. You guys can do a lot of damage that way. So in phase 1, he has a number of different abilities. One of which is Fell Prison. He spawns a big green circle, around some person. Don't be in that green circle or you get prisoned, and you have to be broken out. Sort of like pins on Beastlord Darmak. Don't get pinned, right? He has a Volatile Orb, which gets thrown around to a random person. If it's on you, run it away, and it explodes to people that are 10 yards around. Just run away, this far, totally fine. Go back to your group. Easy to deal with. It doesn't move too fast either. It moves, you can't outrun it forever, but just run away, take the damage, run back out. And the other ability is Fellblaze Charge. He will charge a random person in your raid, and he will do a big trail of fire, and that trail of fire does damage as well as slow people. So be careful where you're standing for this one. You want to control which way it is, and as a group here, as a raid group, we want to have the first one around this line, then you'll have a Fell Prison or Fell Bomb right here, and then another line right here, down this way. The other debuff is Overwhelming Power. Now, this was a pretty weak debuff initially. It was buffed in the last PTR patch, and it now does quite a bit of damage. It's 31,000 damage every second for 6 seconds. Multiple people have it. In my raid testing, when I did it my small group with my viewers, it was really tough to deal with. In my big raid, it's you don't even notice it because the people are so stacked up. And that's it for Phase 1. Phase 2 is really important. So Sokrathar gets out of his robot. One of the tanks. Take your smart tank, put him in the robot, because they really control this next phase. They jump in the robot. They have multiple abilities. Is it shown here? No. Basically, you have the same abilities as the robot does, but they're a little bit weaker. So the tank gets in there. You can beat up on Sokrathar. It's the soul of Sokrathar. It's the ghost of him or the soul. You're beating up on that while you're dealing with other abilities. Now, for those of you that are old school players, if you guys remember Netherspite, similar kind of fight in the sense that there's 3 different portals. There is a red portal that spawns. Red portal, let's say, right here. There is a purple portal that spawns right here. And a blue portal that spawns right here. These portals do alternate. They do flip around, and they do randomize a little bit. Where the red ones will go from here to here, and the other portals will randomize a little bit. From the red phase, in this second phase, while you're in your robot form, Sokrathar is doing 2 abilities. Exert Dominance, which must be interrupted non-stop, so interrupt rotation is pretty much mostly a must. You can't let him burn down your robot. That's the only thing that can do damage to your robot, is if you get these casts off. Interrupt them, really easy to interrupt, burn the boss, because you're all burning the boss anyway. The other ability is his Apocalypse. Does a ton of shadow damage to the entire raid. Use personal cooldowns to raid cooldowns. 1 Devotion Aura and a Trank, plenty. It's not a ton of damage in normal and heroic, but it is a fair amount that you need to use a cooldown on. Now, when he spawns adds, so for example, from the red one, the Sargerai Dominator spawn, he throws a barrier on Sokrathar. Sokrathar can't really be DPS'd, and he can't be DPS'd at all. He's immune, and he can't be interrupted. That is the highest priority target. Because remember, if Sokrathar is casting Dominance, and he is during this entire phase, you can't interrupt him. He's now damaging your robot. So you must blow the crap out of the Dominators. They're the highest priority target. Blow them up. And right now, let's say the boss is tanked near me. Tank the boss by the red markers, so your melee can switch to the Dominator really quick, and then back to the boss, or cleave them all together. And that's fine. Not that you can cleave the boss. The Dominator needs to be blown up right away, so you can break the Sokrathar's shield and continue interrupting him for the rest of the fight. He also throws up a Gift of the Manari, which does fire damage to all players within 10 yards. So he spawns a big circle around yourself. Just run out if you have it. Just run out like this. Next person can run out over here to yellow marker, and you run yourself over here. Like, it hits 2 or 3 people. Not a huge deal. Just stay spread out. The other ability is Shadow Callers. Shadow Callers will always spawn from the purple portal, and they throw Shadow Bolt volleys. Interrupt them. You can grip them in. Grips are awesome. Let them come towards you, interrupt them, let them come a little bit close, grip them into melee, cleave them down. Super easy to deal with, not an issue at all. You can dispel their Shadow Word Agony and interrupt their Shadow Bolt volley. Super easy to deal with. Now, from the blue portal, this is where it gets really cool. The blue portal has these haunting souls. They will come towards you, and they will fear you and pretty much kill you if they reach you. Remember that robot that we talked about in Phase 1? He has a big charge. So, it is up to the tank to make an intelligent line of fire from one portal to another. If the entire raid is here, where I'm standing, next to the red portal, because that's where the Dominator stands from, and the ghosts are coming from blue, if the entire raid is stacked together, all of the ghosts will slowly pass through this fire that slows them, giving your ranged DPS time to burn them down. That is the best thing to do for these ghosts. So raid stays together. There's no advantage to being spread out. If you have a debuff, obviously, you run off to the side here. But let's say I have the debuff. So if the raid is stacked right here, where I am on the orange marker, and the portal's over here, if I have the debuff, I run this way. Why? Because that ghost is still going to pass through that fiery line, get slowed for the DPS to kill it. If the ghosts, again, do reach you, they're going to do lots of damage, they will fear you, and if the hunting, if the ghost consumes somebody nearby, it does damage to the Conjuring, inflicting 7 shadow damage, so you don't want it nearby. Kill those ghosts. Now, what you can do as a as the tank and the robot is to spawn a prison. You can imprison all those ghosts, and the prison lasts about a minute. It will lock down all the ghosts, but those ghosts don't take any damage. So you can use it for potentially locking up a big clump of ghosts. Prison goes away, then you AoE all the ghosts down. That's what we may have to do in other difficulties. On normal and heroic, it's not a big deal at all. We were just killing ghosts as they spawned. But you may want to, have a big wave of ads, then AoE them down together. So, I'll show you guys the video here. I'll explain it as I go. Let me,
When you're making those lines,
one sec here. Let me quickly, I hope this is the right video. Let me show you guys. Yeah, okay. Perfect. So this was our kill attempt. My OBS crashed when I was streaming it. Here you see 3 different markers in the middle of the room: star, blue, orange, sort of like our gruel slices. The green marker is where we were standing. Red marker was another spot. You'll see exactly what happens here in a second. I'll walk you through it. Hopefully soon. There we go. So we've pulled the boss. Again, you can heroism on the start here. Not a huge deal either way. If you have there, see on the left side there, that orb? That's the orb that moves really slowly in the first phase and hits somebody. That orb went off to Midnight. Midnight ran off to the side. Perfect. There's a reverberating blow. Again, it's a conal effect. It's I think 5 or 6 reverberating blows before your DPS blows up the construct. Reverberating blow will be next. It'll be on the orange marker.
Charge.
There's a fell charge, and that's the line of fire that I talked about. Now, when you are shifting as a group, don't shift to the left side. If you know you're going to need to go to the right side next, don't go to the left side here like Firemancer and somebody else did. Go together as a group. Shift to the right. Because now either it has to blink or go all the way around. Reverberating number 3. Watch it go on orange next. There, it's on orange.
So do we want to be on the two?
Volatile orb on Natora. Natora runs out.
Ranger just here on me. On
I
orange
think we
marker,
only
shift
got
right.
2 last time.
Fell Prison is next.
Yeah, we'll wait for
So,
Fell Prison, then
those of you watching, it's charge, prison, charge. Don't spawn an orb here. Let the orb spawn in the middle on the left side of where it spawned for us here. Don't spawn it where I'm standing right now. So let it spawn, then shift. Next ability will be a charge. Watch this. There's reverberating blows, number 4. Here comes Fellblade's charge. There you go, and we shift off to the right side. Now the boss is at 14%. We're going to deal with maybe 5 or 6 reverberating blows, and it'll be fine.
boss in phase 2.
We'll be pushing the boss. Fell Prison's about to come off cooldown. We'll be pushing the boss. There's an orb on Fireleaf. He runs out.
Get ready for transition. So,
Okay, and there's the Soul of Sakrathar coming out of the robot. So you'll see dead men jump inside the robot suit. We are now burning down the boss. Okay. Portals spawn in fairly random spots. The red one spawns across. We're going to move the entire raid over there. There is no advantage to being in 2 different groups. There's all the advantage of being stacked in, controlling where the ghosts go, and making it easier for healing. So we're all going to go around here. I know the fire does slow you. And you see the tank. Deadman did a good job there. That blue portal, where we stand, should be on the other side of that fiery line. So we're going to shift ourselves even further.
So raid, shift over here so we're in line.
There.
So Roche is in a good spot. Where we are. Perfect.
And I'm explaining, Roche is in a good spot right now. This is where we should be spawning. Dominator's out. That's the main priority. So you see how we have the group split up right now? We can't interrupt them, so we can't move, but we should all be together. So you see one ghost is off to the side there. That ghost is on prime time. Prime time should be stacked over here. So all of the ghosts do pass through that entire fell line. There is no reason, no logic behind being off to the side somewhere right now. No reason at all, especially if you don't have a debuff. So you can knock them back, you can stun them, you can vortex them, you can root them, I'm pretty sure, but AoE the crap out of them. At the same time, again, it does target melee, so melee should be in this clump where I am right now. And in our later attempts or later ones, we had the boss pulled over here too. On the right side, you see the Shadow Caller getting interrupted, being ripped into melee, easy to deal with. And this is a fight again where you can cleave down stuff. Lots of cleavage good. Of course, there's Apocalypse. We're taking raid-wide damage. This was my Devotion Aura going, and we had something else going as well, I think, just personals. So again, if it's, what's better? If you have 2 groups right now, if it's on melee, the melee are going to have to run to the range group. Or you can just stack everybody together. Nobody has to move, everybody's happy, continue DPSing.
Range, you're going to AoE them down.
They did a knockback there. You see Schomburg or Kansata running off to go DPS the Ghost, those DPS scumbags.
No, never mind. We're gonna shift a little bit.
So now, portals do shift. So now we've had a new portal spawn. The red one has stayed the same, but the blue portal has moved. So Deadman's going to spawn a new line of fire from where we are to the blue line.
That's a good one.
There. That's a good spot. You guys understand what's happening here? So now on the left side will be the Shadow Caller ads. We're still close to the Dominators, so we're going to maximize damage on those guys, but we don't have to worry about Ghosts too much because there's going to be a long path for them to go through. Look at this. See, they're all being slowed. You have a long time to deal with them. Your range have a ton of time, and it makes it a lot easier. Shadow Caller's there, can get gripped in. Make sure it's interrupted.
Shadow color left. Thank you.
Again, the abilities are dispellable. Ghost Fixation run away on me? No, because they're never going to get to me, because they're so slowed. Make sure you're always spell as much as you can. Yeah, Consent, I'm meaning you. One of you Reds were scumbagging on those little ghosts.
Colors up and ghosts coming out. So likely they're coming out at the same time every time.
So here we are again.
Gripping next.
Ghosts being destroyed by Natoro, by the hunters. And there's again the weak auras for the fixate. Again, you can knock them back. Again, keep the group together. Keep the boss even in that clump. There is no reason to keep them apart. Now the portals have switched again. The red one has split off. The blue one is off to the side here. Now, from what I've seen from all videos and experience, the red portals will only be in the middle. You will not have a red portal off to the side somewhere. It'll always be middle, and then the blue and purple ones will alternate based off the corner sections. Now we have Apocalypse going off as well. Make sure you use a cooldown as well. There's a barrier.
If there's no disadvantage, then just bring him right in.
Yeah, and this is where we start. Like, you know what? Let's just bring the boss in. There was no reason not to bring him in.
And then the melee aren't screwing us over by having ghosts.
Perfect. And now all the melee are in right now. It makes it a lot easier. There's Killing Spree off to the side.
The orange marker, so it goes through the fire here to be slow.
So now it's a lot easier. And of course you do see the robot, and then on the meters there on the bottom right, you see Deadman doing so much damage because he's in that big robot having a lot of fun. So that's the entire fight. First phase, robot. Second phase is the Soul of Sakrathar phase. We're dealing with Ghosts, the Shadow Callers. As long as you, as DPS, understand your DPS priority, which is what? Dominator first, then Ghost if needed, and then Shadow Callers. Shadow Callers can be gripped in, interrupted non-stop. Death Knights will do really well here as well. So, we'll see how it works. Death Knights will be really good next year, with all their grip abilities and their slows and everything else like that. So now the fight is a lot more controlled. In the previous attempts we were using prisons. We used 0 prisons this attempt. None at all. We found it a lot more controlled. That being said, though, we had a big raid, which made it a lot easier. And again, portals have now respawned, so Deadman throws a new fire line from red to blue. We DPS the Dominator. Now the goal is to DPS the Dominator quick enough, so only 1 or 2 casts get off. You will not be able to avoid your construct taking damage. It's pretty much impossible. He will always get a cast off. You want to minimize the amount of casts that Sakrathar gets off onto your robot. If your robot dies, you go back into phase 1, rinse, repeat. On PTR, it was really buggy, where they would continue spawning non-stop, even after he went back into phase 1. But if you do a really good job here, it should be a really easy fight. This is the bulk of the fight in this phase.
Towards us, we're all stacked in, so they all go through the fire and they're slowed.
There you go. There's a good grip by Ariana.
It's on the melee.
Ghosts are coming in again. You can use all these kinds of CCs on them.
ADC?
Fix it on me.
Portals change.
I mean, we sort of made this a really boring encounter. It's not bad. Like, it's a fairly average encounter. It'll be a lot more fun on Mythic, obviously, with a couple new things and some more. I mean, it'll be a bigger split. People have to be a 6-person split for each person or each thing for the first phase. It'll be a lot more hectic.
The first phase was
People understand.
I can't hear Bran over everyone else talking. Again, Bran, please.
I think
Anyway, it's a decent encounter. It's not that bad. You guys will have some fun with it. But the tanks will have the most fun for sure. I think Deadman had the most fun out of everybody else.
Guys, do not be boss anymore, please.
And here, so we wiped on purpose here. We want to transition back into phase 1 so we could wipe it and see what happened once you got out of it. And basically ghosts and stuff would keep spawning, but you weren't able to deal with the... I mean, they would just keep spawning from the old portal spots. Shadow Callers would keep spawning, but you would have no robot to deal with them. So it's a little bit buggy on PTR. Anyway, any questions about this one? Let's see here. What are the priority here? Purple ads, red ghosts, ghosts. Can you heal the construct? I don't believe you can. I didn't personally test it, but I'm pretty sure you cannot. But somebody else confirm DJ Sniffles. I'm sure some of the other Mythic Raiders tried healing the construct, but I really don't think it's healable. So in terms of DPS priority, Dominator always. For all DPS, ranged, melee, whatever, you DPS that Dominator first. Bar none. You can interrupt the Shadow Caller. Shadow Caller doesn't do a ton of damage. Again, he throws out one debuff, the Agony debuff, which is dispellable interruptible, as well as the Volley. Not a huge priority. Again, the Ghosts are the more of a priority, but they are being slowed, so you have more time to deal with them. And the melee can be all happily interrupting the boss and killing him. So the majority of your DPSers will be ranged on Ghosts. What you may want to do is throw a Prison. So let's say we're all stacked here, and there's a big line, a fiery line from red to blue. What you do is let Ghosts spawn. You would throw a Prison down, and that Prison would lock them down, and they take less damage. So let's say I prison them here, and I don't have to deal with them for a little while. I continue DPSing the boss, continue DPSing the Shadow Callers and Dominators. Once the prison expires, all of the Ghosts will come loose again, still being slowed, but at the same time, you would have more Ghosts to deal with. You just have to be really careful, because if you break that prison when you have to shift off to the opposite side, well, now the Ghosts are coming this way instead of going through the fire. So you have to be really careful. I didn't find the prison necessary on both normal and heroic. It's not a big deal. So you can't deal it. Thank you, Tixie. Yeah, Tixie tried in our viewer rate. Thank you for testing that for us. Anyway, yes, Consetta Scumbag. Okay, good. No more questions for that one. All right, one more boss to go here for Coach's Corner. Thank God, my voice is killing me. Okay, one more. Yeah, my old UI is outdated, guys. This is a different one. This is my PTR UI. I'll update it at some point, maybe even tonight. Yeah, my UI is tweaked to my liking, but it is somewhat base UI, somewhat not. The trash was actually pretty fun to Ward Suckerthar as well as Tyrant Valari. Good news, friends, paladins, people, fans of my Ashbringer. There is a two-hand healing mace off Tyrant Valari, and I will get it and transmog into my Ashbringer. It'll be fantastic again. It'll be Throne of Thunder all over again. It'll be awesome. Tyrant Valari is an interesting boss where personal accountability matters a lot. She has 3 main phases. Each phase is a little bit different. She has a fire phase first. She then has, let me pull her up here. She has, yeah, her Edict of Condemnation here. Yeah, it's, yeah, I don't know about the Edict of Condemnation right now. Where is it? Soul of Decay. So there's this stacking debuff again, boring tank debuff for tanks all throughout the entire fight. Stacking debuff, make sure you switch off. Touch of Harm. Touch of Harm happens throughout the entire fight, and now basically what it does is it's an absorb, where, and this is really good for paladins, throw your beacon on Touch of Harm person. That person will absorb 1,000,000 healing. If you dispel that person, it'll jump to a new person. But it's a really easy ability to deal with. Just make sure it's obviously not on a tank or not on someone that is low HP. So if I was low HP, you would dispel it off of me, go on to somebody else, hopefully that was higher, and keep healing that person. But Touch of Harm is really fun because you're able to pad really well as a healer. Sword is ugly. Your face is ugly. Don't diss my sword. So, different phases. Yeah, there's a debuff, Edict of Condemnation, don't worry about that too much. Splitting it between all players stuck. Yeah, don't worry about that one. Now, Stage 1, the Aura of Oppression. Now, whenever you move, the aura does damage to you. So as each phase goes on, the auras get stronger and stronger and stronger. This fight is a fairly big DPS check. Every, I think, 70%, then 40% or something like that, she switches into her new phase. It's 70%, then 40, I can't recall what it is exactly. But it's a, somebody else can correct me here, 70, 40, and like 25 or something like that, or something close to that. Should go into a new phase. The Aura of Oppression, every time you move, you take damage. So what does Sparty always say? Minimize movement, maximize damage. With Aura of Oppression, the longer it goes, even a move like this, you take damage. But sometimes you have to move. There are points where you will be forced to move throughout the entire phase. The first thing here, let's see what to add. she spawns an ad every single phase. The Ancient Enforcer, at 90%, she spawns this one. He has Enforcer's Onslaught, which basically is a big ball in wherever he's facing. It bounces between the wall and back to him. Don't be in it. It's really easy. You can cleave him down. He's not a huge priority. He's not a huge threat. So if the tank is tanking the boss roughly here, let's say the Ancient Enforcer is roughly here, make sure the Ancient Enforcer is facing the wall here, so the ball goes bouncing this way instead of, you know, in the middle of your raid here. But feel free to cleave it down, not a big issue at all. Now the other things are Annihilating Strike. This is, again, a conal attack. Where do you not want to be in a cone? Near the end of that cone, because it is such a wide radius. Now the cone will follow a person. So let's say the boss is at blue right now, and cone is on me. If, let's say, I have Roshi, you know, over here by red marker, and I have somebody else over here, and somebody else over, you know, over here, that's fine. So if I'm right here, I don't want to spin the boss around, because if I spin the boss, I can control the way that attack hits, that Annihilating Strike. So stand where you are, take your Annihilating Strike. It is not avoidable. If it's on you targeted, do not try to avoid it. The rest of these monkeys, Roshi and, let's say, Firemancer, they can get out of the way of the strike. And it is advantageous to run away from the strike. Because if they do get hit, they will spawn a little circle under the ground, and that knocks them up in the air. Completely avoidable. Where it hits me here, it will spawn a circle here as well, but I can move out. So there, you'll take more damage by standing in the strike than you would from moving, taking damage from the aura, because you're going to take damage from the aura anyway, and then not getting hit. Only one person should ever get hit by the Annihilating Strike at once. Only one person, never multiple people. Fairly easy to deal with. And to get Searing Blaze is a little circle on the ground, knocks you up in the air, and you take more damage. Again, you don't want to be moving during this fight wherever possible. At the same time, Touch of Harm, or not Touch of Harm, it is the, what is it called? The Edict of Condemnation. Now this thing is a big purple circle. It does, you know, 500,000 damage, but it's split between people that are in this circle, except it ticks 3 times. In 3 seconds, the circle gets smaller. It's now a medium-sized circle, hitting these people. And then 3 seconds after that, it's a small circle. So you do need to move it, or people need to move in to split that damage. What you can do if it's on a mage, or if it's on a hunter, or a paladin, or a shadow priest, whatever, you can run it off to the side, or, you know, stand where you are and disperse it, or bubble it, or something, and it'll be fine. You can use those abilities, and a lot of groups on PTR did do that. We didn't. We just healed right through it. We decided, you know, just move as much as you need to deal with the Edict of Condemnation. You'll see it during the video here of what exactly happens. Now, next one, Stage 2. Now, this aura is a really tough aura. It will constantly get tougher. So as you transition into Phase 2, your HP immediately drops down to 80%. Then it goes 70%, then 60, then 50, 40, 30, and it gets lower and lower and lower. That's really tough to deal with. So it is a massive burn phase. Make sure you do have DPS cooldowns up for this one. You also have to deal with the ad, which is the Ancient Harbinger, which does heal her. But every time you interrupt the cast gets quicker, I believe. So you need to burn this down as a priority. You transition in this phase, kill the ad first, then kill the boss, because you don't want to be in this phase for very long. At the same time, you're still dealing with the Touch of Harm, which is the, you know, the healing debuff, not a big one to deal with at all, and the Edict of Condemnation. That is a tough one. So make sure you burn through that phase really quickly. Not that bad to deal with. I would say this phase is actually a little bit easier than the first phase. The first phase, what happens is you have, oh, sorry, I missed that one ability, Infernal Tempest. Infernal Tempest is also an ability here that will spawn circles under you, but you don't have to move every single time. It'll spawn a small circle under you, then another circle, it'll spawn 4 circles that will pop over time. If you spawn 1 circle, you can wait for the second circle to spawn and then shift out. Third circle, then 4th circle. So you only spawn 4 little sections, or 2 sections instead of 4 sections. You'll see what I mean in the video, so I'm getting tongue-tied. But that ability is unavoidable, but you do want to minimize movement. You should only ever spawn 2 circles instead of 4 during that ability. And the last phase is the Malice phase. For this one, this is a fun one for DPS. As the phase goes on, you do more damage, but you also take more damage. You will inflict 20% more damage as the aura gets stronger, but also take 10% more damage. At the same time, you do have an ad that does knock you around. The ad does reduce damage taken, burn that ad down. You have Gal of the Tyrant, which knocks players around, and you have Bulwark of the Tyrant as well, which spawns it picks a random person, and it spawns a purple little field under them. On PTR, they were very difficult to see. And what we did was we treated sort of like Grobulus, where we sort of had the tank, backpedal this way and keep spawning circles to maximize room. For those of you that did Brawler's Guild, remember that snake boss where you have to sort of, snake around because it spawns little things on the ground? We just kept the rate together, I think like in the Fat Boss video, and that made it a lot easier. Let me show you guys exactly how it works by this video. Let me pull it up here really quickly. Tyrant Valari. And it was 4150 in this video. Alright, last boss fight. 41. Okay, I'm going to show you guys, one of the last attempts here. Okay, pulling it up here. So this is Tyrant Valari. Basically what we said, we still have to deal with fonts. I missed a couple abilities. There's a couple abilities in the shadow phase, like the font. You're still dealing with the Edict of Condemnation, but you do want to be stacked in for font because you do take 0 splash damage, but you take more of other damage. You'll see here as I explained. I'll go through the fight step by step here. So again, we have the boss tanked on green. The raid will be roughly on moon for the later phase, and blue is where we want the ads positioned. So on the right side there of my screen and near the minimap is the aura. You'll see me taking damage every time I move. You want to minimize movement. Annihilating Strike happens. Kansata, see? There, it's gone Kansata. You see how he shifts it around that arrow? You never want to move. Kansata, do not move with a friggin' arrow, because then people get hit, and now they will spawn a circle under the ground. Watch what happens. See on the right side there? Primetime gun knocked him in the air. He takes additional fire damage, because Kansata decided to, to shift around. Here it's an Ariana. I shift out. I got hit there anyway. I was too slow, but you don't want to take that damage anyway. Ariana stood still. Perfect. Ad spawns at 90%. There's another Annihilating Strike. Everybody but Test Summoner can move out of the way, so they don't spawn circles. The ad can die really quick here. Enforces Onslaught, which is that big ball of fire, really easy to dodge. Tank shouldn't have got hit there. That was, I think, Tally or Deadman that got hit. Now this Infernal Tempest. This is what I mean. This is the ability that spawns circles under the ground. Each person in the raid will spawn a circle under them. You want to minimize the amount of circles that spawn, especially in melee. In melee, you're going to get screwed over by all these circles, right? So, do be spread out. Watch what happens. So again, it's little circle spawning, and they constantly pop. As we get through the fight, you'll see how I deal with them a little bit better. Edict of Condemnation. Now, this is the big purple ability. There. You see the little, the big purple circle around the screen? You see the edge of the aura on my screen right now. There it is. I zoomed out for you guys. It gets smaller. I ran in to soak more damage. Gets smaller and gets even smaller. And that person ran in there and killed herself. She didn't run into enough people. So she didn't have the HP to survive it. At the same time, on midnight on my raid frames, you see the Touch of Harm, which is the constant, the Absorb debuff. You just have to heal through 1,000,000 damage to make it a lot easier. We're going to finish off the ad here. We should have one more Inferning Temples. Watch what I do here. There's 1, 2, 1, 2. You see how I only spawn 2 circles? Let it pulse, then move. So let it spawn, let it pulse, then shift. So you should only ever spawn 2 circles at a time, never 4. You want to minimize your movement, right? That's exactly how you handle it. It's not, it'll be fine on Mythic. This tier is actually the most melee-friendly tier I've seen in years. Melee, you'll be fine. There's an Annihilating Strike on Brew. Brew doesn't move. And he spawns a little circle under himself, that's fine. Next Annihilating Strike here. It's on Fibrilo. Fibrilo doesn't move. And the other guys did move. Yeah, perfect. And only Fibrilo spawns a little circle under him. That was perfect. Touch of Harm on Idealize. Now, this is the tough one right here. You are dealing with the Edict of Condemnation, which is the big purple aura. And you're dealing with the Infernal Tempest, which is the little shit under your feet. At this point, if it is on a hunter, a mage, a paladin, a shadow priest, run it the hell out, because people are going to take a lot of fire damage. This is where you would use a raid cooldown, your rally, your devotion, or your spirit links, because watch what happens.
It's devotion. Get rid of a barrier there.
It's a ton of fire damage, plus the edict still. We threw a spirit link there and a devotion, and still people nearly died. And I got hit there by the Tempest. So that is the one sort of overlap that is really, really tough. And now we've transitioned into Phase 2. And Phase 2, of course, we have less HP. So we're all at 80% HP right now, and this keep dropping down as the fight goes on. Touch of Harm's on Consada. I threw a beacon on Consada, and now it's gone. New Touch of Harm comes out as well. So, that weaker on the left side of my screen is the font. For the font, you want to be stacked in, not spread. I know the weaker says spread, but you want to be stacked in if you have fonts. We're going to run them into melee right now, because you don't take the splash damage. So, that's a really important one. For fonts, stack in. Fonts will stack in. You see 1, 2, 3, 4 fonts in the raid right now. Those 4 people should be stacked in on roughly Moon. More people will get the font as the fight progresses. You have it for about 40 seconds. After 40 seconds, you blow up. So make sure you run out in time. Now, more people have the font. Those guys are stacked in. People without the font are spread out. You get the Condemnation. This makes it a lot easier to heal. We're stacked in. It makes it a lot easier to deal with, right? So I have 5 seconds left on my...
run out. With those of you that had fonts, make sure you run them out early.
Yeah, I'm telling my raid to run out. You see me running out here, and pop. There, just make sure you run it early with those fonts, because they do pop. How many edicts was that? I think that was the second edict of condemnation in the first phase. You'll likely go through 2 edicts per phase.
Got it.
There, fonts on me. I'm going to run into the raid right now.
Fonts, make sure you're in. Arkham has beacon.
And you see the debuffs right now. Nataro should be running out. Potato died. He was in the raid right now. Kansada should be running out. Some people are doing some raid damage to us right now. Again, this is a big burn phase. And 4%, like I think we were at, I don't know how many stacks right now, but I think we were at 40% of our life. Then this is the second edict, which you should be getting. Use another big raid cooldown here. It gets really dicey right at this end. There, you threw an ice block out as well. And about 0.5% will be transitioning, and everybody can be healed up again. Okay, at phase 3, the edict, sorry, not the edict, the font is gone. The boss is going to get pulled to the wall here. We can all get healed back up to full, and we take more damage. Now, you see the ground here? Looks like a bit of a defiled ground. It's really hard to see, especially on the grates. But you see, like the weak word says, or the DBM says, despoil the ground, move away. You're standing in shit. It is really, really tough to see, and I know a lot of my raiders made the same comment. You can sort of see it on the back there. Now, some of my raiders are there in the middle. That being said, it is random where he throws the defiled ground. There's different strats here of being spread out, being stacked in. We decided to be stacked in for this one because we can control where the defiled ground spawns. If you all stay spread out, you do run the risk of overwhelming the entire room, of spawning those defiled grounds everywhere. And check the damage meter now. Windwalker is amazing, yes.
The puddle is when you shift. Not earlier. Shift, move. There's a puddle, go.
And then you see me calling for it to move. There's a puddle. It's, again, really, really hard to see, and hopefully Blizzard does change that in the meantime.
Yeah.
And there's the ad.
Every time she does her ability.
Here comes a knockback, and now this knockback does run the risk of knocking you back into a previous despoiled ground. Try to get knocked into the wall. There's an edict as well. People need to be stacked in for edict. Here they're going to throw a C-res on me, hopefully.
I know it's hard to see. Like, this shit right here is super fucking hard to see.
Again, it's really, really tough to see with the red and purple background. Roshi reses me. I'm going to get back in there in the raid.
Focus on ads, please.
We're going to focus on the ad. They're after to lay hands on dead men. But you do more and more damage as the fight progresses. Now we're doing 60,000 DPS. We're going to kill the ad here. Because again, it is one less thing to deal with. There's a knockback again from that Gavel of the Tyrant. We're going to deal with one more edict in about 10 seconds. Touch of Harm's, yeah, Touch of Harm's still going out. And this should be our last edict. And yeah, Bran was staying in the middle of the room the entire time. But again, it is a random where she throws down the despoiled ground. You can control it, or you can sort of, again, like how easy is this to see? You see the edge of the ring, and that's pretty much it. Hopefully, it will be changed a little bit for when it does go live. And to like just give us a proper puddle.
Inside circle, watch out there, yeah.
So here I shifted off to the side here because I wanted the tanks to move it off to the side. And yeah, we did kill it, but again, it is a bit of a tough fight. You should know what is going on at all times in terms of what's going on for Phase 1, how much you should be moving. You want to minimize your movements. In Phase 2, you want to be stacked in for the font and then run out when it does go away. Again, all the weak auras are there. Does anybody have any questions about this one? Does Infernal spawn, the Tempest spawn on melee Kevkev? Yes, it does. It totally does. Thank you for that question. Yeah, it spawns on every single raid person. Here. Causes players to burst into flame, periodically burning themselves and other players within 2 yards. It's a really small one. All players struck create a searing blaze at their locations. That's a little circle. So it does spawn. In front of Schomburg. Yeah. Any other questions for this fight or any other questions in general? You only had one set of points for the last phase. Yeah. You guys talked about your rent. Any questions about these fights? That was a long, awesome Coach's Corner. That was 3 hours of boss fights. I figured it would take 3 hours. Let me know if there's any other questions about any of these bosses. I covered the first 9 bosses. I'll be covering Fel Lord Zakuun, Zul'Harak, Manaroth, and Archimonde likely later this week. Last 4 bosses at some point. Is normal overtuned? Yeah, I mean, I would say so. I think it's a very difficult encounter for being geared towards friend and family. Our gear was scaled down to, I think, 685 for normal testing, but in general, I think it's a very difficult encounter for your average friends and family guild. And it is also one of those fights where if you only have 10 people in your raid, you're going to take a shit ton more damage. It is that much tougher. In a 30-man setting, it was a lot easier. If you only have 10, 13 people in your guild or in your raid, you'll have more difficulty because, again, it does split the damage. So, an encounter like Tyrant Valari, and you're spreading the Edict of Condemnation, that big purple circle that gets smaller and smaller and smaller, you have fewer players to spread it between, which means those players are going to have to move more and then take more damage. Hopefully the scaling, the tuning works really well, where people take less damage from moving in a smaller raid setting. Yeah, Phase 2 is overtuned. Phase 1 was fine. There's no issues with that one. Phase 3, the big change that does need to happen is they need to put the ground a little bit more easier to see. Any other questions? No? Any other questions about the boss fights? Let me know. We've covered all of them, from Hellfire Assault, the boring Galacras fight, to Iron Reaver, to Chrome Rock, to Hellfire Council, Kilrog Dead. If you have suggestions, ideas, feel free. All the Coach's Corners will be on YouTube, thanks to Midgets. She will split all this up for us. I will have weak words for all of you guys as well, thanks to Firbolo. He's created them, and there'll be more and more. At this point, do get Shadow Lord Iskar Assist. It'll help you out going forward. So, second set of Edict in Phase 2, you're definitely going to have to solo soak. I think both in Phase 1 and Phase 2, the second set of Edict will always have to be soaked by one person. So in every single phase, the second Edict should be solo soaked or sacrificed. Well, not sacrificed, but it'll be a lot more. You'll have a lot more luck if it's on a Paladin, a Mage, or a Hunter, or a Shadow Priest that can solo soak it for sure. Okay, fantastic. So that will conclude Coach's Corner for tonight. Thank you guys for watching. You guys were awesome. As always, thank you for all the awesome questions. Thank you, Midgets, for putting all the my videos together, for doing all this stuff. Invaluable. Thank you. I couldn't have done without you. And for tracking everybody's questions throughout the entire night. We will have more PTR testing likely this week. You guys will see my guild doing it. Otherwise, thank you for watching. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook. Here, follow us on chat. Thank you for the resubs. New people, old people, welcome. Thanks a ton for your contributions. I will see you guys this next week, tomorrow, for more rating. We might do some more sub-rating. Sub-rating Heroic, probably tomorrow. But thanks for watching. Be excellent to each other. Have a good night. And as always, live your life heroically. I will be online on live. If you have any more questions, I'll be in chat here as well. Thanks, Todd. And thank you, Random, for supporting the stream. Thanks a lot, guys. And it'll be on YouTube in a little bit here.